Hey friends, welcome to the Beyond Files.
Ready to question reality? You're in the right place.
Let's dive in.
What fell out of the sun? There we go.
Finally, we answered the question. And the answer is yes. This is without a doubt a portal. And here's the proof. You can see beings walking from out of this portal down these stairs. Doesn't the outside of this portal remind you of something? And here, structures started to appear. Pause and zoom in. This is amazing to be witnessing this in our lifetime. Zooming in. We're always wondering, what is that ring around the sun that we're always seeing now? Well, it's just not a ring. This is a portal. The time is near. Credit goes to Skywatcher Mindy for sending this in.
I just thought it was like a cloud spray.
Right.
And then when
Chemtrail.
when it zoomed in, I was like, holy
I
shit.
don't know if I think it's a portal, but it's maybe a dimensional blur. I don't know. But do you think it's a portal?
I don't know. It looks like there's things around it. Maybe it can be used as some sort of portal. And maybe it was a portal that was trying to look like the sun in that moment.
Tell us what you think in the comments below.
Dorothy Eady. Born in London in 1904, Dorothy suffered a head injury at just 3 years old, after which she began to act strangely. According to her parents, she didn't sound the same anymore. Her accent and speech patterns had changed, and she would continually ask her parents to take her home, but not their family home. When Dorothy was just 4 years old, the family went to the British Museum to view an Egyptian exhibit. In the exhibit was a photograph of the Temple of Seti I in Abydos, Egypt. As soon as young Dorothy laid eyes on this picture, she cried out, "There's my home!" But something was wrong. Where are the trees? Where are the gardens? She asked. She then proceeded to run through the exhibit, kissing the feet of statues and stating that she was, quote, amongst her people. Usually cases of past life memories begin when a child is very young, like in Dorothy's situation, but around age 7, the child simply stops remembering or imagining their past life, and that's kind of the end of it. For Dorothy, though, this was just the beginning of a lifelong obsession. As a teenager, she was kicked out of church and expelled from school for comparing modern Christian beliefs to that of the polytheism of ancient Egyptians. Her parents were understandably very concerned and even had her committed to psychiatric hospitals. But Dorothy would not be swayed from her story. She eventually moved to Egypt and would spend the rest of her life there. The most amazing part of Dorothy's story, though, came when she was in her 50s and was given the opportunity to work with a crew of excavators in Abydos. She literally helped this crew uncover the lost gardens at the Temple of Seti I, the ones she knew were missing from the photograph in the museum all those years ago. Apparently her knowledge of the temple, its surroundings, and even local hieroglyphs proved invaluable to researchers, and she stayed in Abydos until her death in 1981, saying that being there gave her a sense of peace.
That's really cool.
I just wonder how some children or people remember their past lives so vividly and others don't. It's like the memory erase didn't work properly.
I would have loved to have a conversation with her and just ask like what the hieroglyphics meant. I always have felt a connection with Egypt as well. And I don't have a knowing or remembering of it, but ever since I was a child, I had a connection with it. So I would have been having a lot of conversations with this woman.
Have you heard about Project Magnet? So in the 60s, the American government did a top secret project with the military called Project Magnet, where they went around the world and they were measuring places of interest that had serious electromagnetic current frequencies that were like super high. And they measured the Ricat structure because it has unusual electromagnetic energy fields in that area. So this was top secret information, but recently the CIA have released the documents and the dossier, so you can literally read the report about all the areas in the world where they went. Now, the reason why this is interesting is because ancient civilizations often, always built their cities around areas of serious electromagnetic energy for reasons known to them.
What do you think those reasons were? Free energy? Power?
More people are more sensitive to electromagnetic energies than others.
Yeah.
But you think about even when you walk into certain stores and there is a high frequency of electromagnetic energy, you feel it.
But that's a different type of energy, I think. This is like an earth magnetic frequency type of thing.
Yeah.
Might be a better frequency to bringing into your body than Wi-Fi.
That one would be more healing and grounding.
There's a reason, but we don't know yet. Hopefully we learn sometime soon.
On May 20th of 2024, a woman named Shireen Ann notices something in her apartment that leaves her extremely unsettled. After this incident, she made a video detailing the events that led up to that night. It all started a few days back when Shireen was home alone with her children. Looking back at this moment, she regrets that she didn't take it seriously. To Shireen, this occurrence wasn't something to be concerned about, as she thought it was her upstairs neighbor doing some interior renovations. But the following night, it happens again. It was at this moment that Shireen began to think that it wasn't her upstairs neighbor, but instead someone or something else. She would continue to be on edge until the next night, when it didn't happen. No noises were heard whatsoever on that night, but as she takes a random photo for her Snapchat to let her followers know that she was going to bed, she captures this. Shireen had no idea that in the photo she took, something appears. It was only after someone on Snapchat saw the photo that she was told. Looking closely, it looks as if someone or something is staring at her. She believes that they, or it, had been the one responsible for the noises she heard before. Now the figure isn't clear at all, but you can make out an outline of a body, which is pretty creepy in itself. Not much else has been said about this occurrence, but one can assume that Shireen was terrified upon seeing it. It's photos like this of eerie figures that are pretty creepy. A similar photo was recently posted on Facebook. However, the figure in this one is a bit more clear. The context for this is that a theater student had taken a photo of the audience in the upper balcony and captured this. However, a morbid-looking person is caught in it. Like this image, Shireen's pic remains a total mystery. She doesn't know who or what was inside her apartment, and she doesn't know if it's still there. With no new updates since then, it seems that what was captured will continue to remain unknown.
It looked like she had one of them little bonnet things on.
The first one?
Yeah.
I'd name her and I'd yell at her.
Knock it off, Nelly.
But that second gray figure was definitely a little odd.
Yeah.
We're here, Beddoes. We're helping. We're coming.
This is the closest thing I can find to concrete evidence of the paranormal. EVPs, or electric voice phenomena, are audio recordings of spirits or ghosts. These are three of the most compelling EVPs I've ever heard. This first EVP was captured in an unconventional way, but it is truly some of the best evidence that I've ever seen. This is police body cam footage captured in Spanish Fork, Utah. They arrived on scene at the Spanish Fork River where a car had crashed into the river and was quickly filling with water. The accident happened at 10:30 p.m. on March 5th, and the car wasn't found until about 9 hours later at noon the next day. From inside the car, the rescuers heard a woman crying for help. But the only person alive inside of that car was an 18-month-old baby. Her mother had been dead for several hours at the time of the rescue. Here's the footage.
We're here, Beddoes. We're helping. We're coming. There, get down here and read and try and flip it. We're here, Beddoes. We're helping. We're coming.
So you actually heard a voice calling out, "Help me." Do you know who that was?
You know, at first we didn't know if it was someone inside the car, if it was what that voice was. We assumed, or I assumed, that it was someone in the car saying, "Help me." That's why we responded saying, "We're trying, we're going to get inside and help you, we're doing the best we can." And that was just extra motivation and to get inside the car and figure out who was in there. It wasn't until after we flipped it that we saw the mother, who we know now was deceased at the time, and the child was in the back seat. And so it wasn't until after that you really process, and we got together and we all heard the same, voice.
This next EVP came from Reddit, and honestly, it choked me up. User Tenzin Alexander posted this video with the title "Audio Evidence of the Spirit of My Brother." He wrote, "To make a long story short, my brother and I made a sacred bond to try and contact each other if one of us was to suddenly pass away. I thought my brother crossed over because I haven't heard from him in several weeks. I said out loud with the recorder in my hand in my garage where he passed away, 'I don't think you're around anymore.' I then rewound it and was completely taken aback, hearing his voice clear and loud as day.
I love you. I love you. I love you.
This final recording is pretty well known. This audio was shared on a radio show called Coast to Coast AM by the credible paranormal investigation group called Ghost Investigators Society. They captured this horrifying audio in an old mental institution called the Exchange Building. Here's the recording, along with some backstory from the investigator.
Everybody was sitting outside at the time this was recorded, and it sat there silent for about 7 minutes. And then all of a sudden, after about 7 minutes, you hear what can only be described as a child, and followed by the child, you hear an older man, and then the child again, and the child keeps going on and on.
This was recorded again in a completely empty room.
Yes.
And there's no chance that conversation going on outside that room by any of you or anybody else could have been what we're about to hear.
Oh, no, definitely. And for one, it is, to me, definitely a child. The other odd thing is, for about 15 to 20 seconds at the end of this recording, you hear water, and you hear it splashing and splashing back and forth, and almost a thrashing sound. And then you're going to hear a thud, and the sound just dies. You hear nothing else after that.
How do you interpret that splashing and thrashing?
To me, listening to this over and over and over again, and this is what really bothers me, Barbara and I and the rest of the GIS had a big debate on whether this should even be included in the show, because I thought it was almost too disturbing to play. But to me, it sounds like what you're hearing is a kid saying, "Help me, I can't breathe, I couldn't breathe."
A child drowning is what you think?
Yeah. I mean, I can't take it any other way. Sounds like a child being murdered.
All right, let's let everybody decide for themselves. Here it is.
Have you ever seen or heard something that you couldn't explain? Feel free to share your stories in the comments.
I've just had goosebumps like that whole
Me
time.
too. Me too. Those are
Oh.
so clear for not having any kind of equipment to run. Those are direct EVPs. They are so good. Good captures.
Yeah.
And sad.
Yeah.
You guys remember that song? This is the rhythm of the night. Well, do you remember this part? Those are magical sigils. Keep in mind, you're always being spelled, whether you want to be or not. Point is, stay protected, my friends.
It's just crazy what they said, like subliminally put in videos that you don't catch it unless you slow it down.
I think it's becoming more blatantly obvious to people now that they're picking it up. It's not even as subliminal anymore. It's in your face.
Mm-hmm.
What the fuck was that? I'm scared.
A sewer alligator? A big pig eating big guinea pigs? I don't know.
Or something making guinea pig sounds to lure someone in, and then it's like some nasty sewer monster.
It's odd.
SpongeBob night. Liam, come here. Liam, right now. What is happening? Okay, I'm calling your mom. Just stay right here.
What do you see? I don't like that. Who's there? Oh, I don't like that. That's scary. You're freaking me out. What do you see? What do you see? Oh my god, this is scary.
Cheese. Cheese. What you doing? What you see? What? What you see? Who are you saying hi to? Who are you saying hi to? Dude, you need to stop that. You're freaking me out. Come on.
I don't think when your kid sees Papa, you should be like, you're freaking me
I
out.
totally agree. I think you should maintain a little composure and not freak the kid out by saying you're freaking me out, because he's clearly seeing something that you're not.
Yeah, just talk to him and have like a calmer energy because they can understand.
Ask him, who are you seeing? Oh, that's Papa? Okay.
And I also think bells, ringing of bells can bring forth spirits. So if you got your baby,
I don't know, what, maybe it was just what the hell was that about? Why would you put bells on the baby's breast?
So you know where the baby is because you're not paying attention. You know, like when the cat has a bell on its collar, so you know where the cat is.
I hear the baby upstairs just running around.
Yeah. I'd be trying to figure stuff out more, not just be like, you're freaking me out.
Yeah, just stay composed. Okay, I know it's hard. Just compose yourself a little bit.
Rare photos you haven't seen before. This is how big the Statue of Liberty's face is compared to a person. This is how big a polar bear's paw is compared to a human hand. This is how big Earth is compared to Saturn. This is what Queen Elizabeth II looked like when she was 18. This is how horses fly on a plane. And this is what a completely empty airplane looks like. This is what the largest flying animal ever recorded looks like compared to a human. This is how big a blue whale heart is compared with a human being. This is a picture of one of the last Tasmanian tigers, an animal that went extinct in 1936. Tourists used to be able to freely climb up the Great Pyramid of Giza in Egypt to sunbathe and have tea parties. This is how condoms were tested in the 1930s. This is what the end of 13,000 miles of the Great Wall of China looks like. This is Ralph Lincoln, the 11th generation cousin of Abraham Lincoln. This is what the Eiffel Tower looked like as it was being built. This is Ruth Malcolmson, the woman who won the 1924 Miss America pageant. This is Robert Wadlow, the tallest human who ever lived.
Cool.
I like all of them. The one that's just funny is like, here's what this older person looked like when they were younger.
Right.
And you're like, oh.
Or the very first one looked like Michael Jackson.
Yeah, it did. But all in all, they were pretty cool. I want to go have a tea party and sunbathe on top of a pyramid.
Yeah.
Be fun.
Quit shining the light at me.
I'm sorry, but turn around.
Really? You want to play this game today? Alright, come here. I'm done with this.
When a simple randonauting adventure takes a terrifying turn, imagine exploring, thinking it's just going to be a fun night, only to realize you're not alone. A figure in the shadows suddenly appears, getting closer, each step sending chills down your spine. You try to laugh it off, but the closer they get, the more you realize this isn't just a coincidence. Suddenly, every step forward feels like a step toward danger.
Where are you going? Come here. Yeah, I'd run away too.
Sometimes it's best to leave the unknown alone. You never know who or what might be waiting.
So I weirdly think that randonauting is connected to the dark web, because how do these people just randomly show up at these locations where there's people waiting for them?
I know you think it's crazy. I'm like, let's go walk through the woods. But I'd rather just walk mysteriously through the woods than do a randonaut, even though I still am so curious to do it at the same time.
I've done it.
You have?
Yeah, I've done it, and it's weird. It's weird.
Ooh.
I think something somehow connects to it, and I don't know if it's supernatural or if it's planned, but I liked how this guy just reversed it on it and went after the person.
Yeah.
Here's the story of when the CIA astral projected to Mars. This was May 22nd, 1984, and this is a transcript that was released by the CIA. I love how it's just called Mars Exploration. Quick backstory, in the 70s through the 90s, the US government was really interested in astral projection, or remote viewing as they called it, because the Soviets were into it and claiming they were having successes, which may or may not have been true. By the way, astral projection or remote viewing is when you have an intentional out-of-body experience, so you project your consciousness outside of your body and go to another time or place. In another video, I talk about whether humanity can actually do that, and then we also talk about it at length in our podcast. So this guy's name is Joseph McMonigle. I don't know if that's how you say his last name. I'm sorry. He was a remote viewer in this program. He was actually called Remote Viewer 1 because he was the best. And he was the one who got to astral project to Mars. So a regular day at work for Joe was he would receive an envelope with an index card inside. The envelope would be sealed, not exactly like this, but he wouldn't get to read what was inside. And on this particular day, here's what the index card said. It said, "The planet Mars, time of interest approximately 1 million years BC." Of course, he didn't read that. I don't know if they give him the envelope and he senses it. I don't know what exactly happens, but that was what the envelope had inside. So then the astral projection begins. There's a whole 10-page transcript of it online if you want to look it up. I'm just going to point out some stuff I thought was interesting. He talks about some sort of storm, a geological disturbance that causes the people, I guess, to go into hiding. So the monitor says, "Tell me about the ones who sleep through the storms." He says they're tall, very large people, thin, they dress in tight silks. They're ancient people, they're dying, it's past their time or age. He talks about seeing pyramid-like structures, but he does note that they are different than any pyramid he's known before. He describes some structures, including an obelisk that reminds him of the Washington Monument. Check out the podcast if you want more information on this. But what I think is interesting is that he wasn't told they were targeting Mars, right? So usually his work was to locate downed airplanes or spy something or other to do with other countries. It was all terrestrial. It was all on Earth. But this time it was Mars, and they didn't tell him, but he was describing foreign alien things.
I think it's cool. I don't know. I wonder if they still
remote view and just don't tell us.
Yeah.
They do. I think they're actually public groups that do it now, that have been trained formally. It's fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Would you do it if you could?
Yeah. I mean, I've had little experiences before, so to go to Mars, see that'd be really cool.
Well, thanks for watching. If you could, to bump us up in the algorithm, could you give us a like, a subscribe, and hit that little notification bell to let you know when we drop another video? And until next time, bye.
Bye.